Morning YouTube. I went back into Broadcasting House to the BBC yesterday to do a pre-record for a breakfast radio show on BBC Radio 4. Now this is a bit of a step up in that the last radio show that I did was BBC Radio London, and it broadcast to the Greater London area, so about 7.2 million. BBC Radio 4 is a national radio station, and it broadcasts to the whole country. So potentially they could have an audience over probably 10 or 15 million. So quite a big step up. What I'm doing here is just being interviewed and talking about prepping. It's quite short, but let's play it for you.
Here's something to bring you right back down to earth. The world is due to end on December the 21st, so we've got about 5 or 6 days left. At least that's how some people have interpreted the vagaries of the Mayan calendar. Others talk about the cheery prospect of the world surviving, but in a post-apocalyptic way. If that were the case, how ready are you? A man who, world's end or not, lives by the motto "Be prepared" is Michael Sanderson. Michael is in his 50s. He's ex-British Special Forces, served in Northern Ireland and the Falklands, before leaving the army to become a paramedic in the ambulance service. Now semi-retired, he lives with his wife, who's a nurse, and their 2 young children in Luton, with a garage stocked with months and months of provisions. Michael, or Roach as he's called, is known as a prepper. I asked him first to describe what a prepper is.
Prepping is individual emergency planning. That's the long and the short of it. It's mostly taken on by people that want to be self-reliant. Preppers are people that don't expect the state to come and save them, that make provision for disasters, emergencies, hard times.
How did all this start?
It started really because of global disasters. You know, Hurricane Katrina swept through New Orleans. 1,800 people expected the state to come and save them, and nobody came. And those people subsequently died. You know, and people started to ask me, do you think this could happen here? And my initial response was the same as everybody's. Couldn't possibly happen here. Couldn't possibly happen here. Or could it?
Can you describe the kit and provisions that you've got at your home?
Yeah, I've got what's called a bug-out vehicle, and it's a 20-year-old Land Rover, the love of my life. I bought it for next to nothing, and I've kind of rebuilt it like guys do. And I've got a 3/4-ton military trailer. But in the trailer are provisions for me and my family for a minimum of 3 months. In the house, we have 3 months' food on the shelf.
What sort of provisions? What have you got? Dry goods and canned goods?
Yeah, pretty much everything you could imagine, really. I mean, all the incidentals, you know, soap powders and cleaning materials, canned goods and dried and dehydrated foods.
What is bugging out?
Bugging out is having to evacuate your home for any reason you could imagine. You get flooded. If that happened to me, I'd take the kids camping. You put your tent up, you know, you get your kit out, you function normally, you know.
So how quickly could you get out if you needed to get out?
We could leave the house within 15 minutes.
With everything on board the trailer?
Yeah. All we've got to do, really, is put some warm clothes on the children, get in the truck and go.
So you'd bug out and you could live like that for 6 months without any state intervention, without any help whatsoever?
Without any support from the state, yeah, I'd be fine. In truth, I'd probably be fine indefinitely because I have a mentality. I don't expect anyone to come and save me. I don't think like that. I am self-reliant.
How much do you think you've spent on it over the past 18 months, preparing yourself and having 3 months' supplies just in case something happens?
I certainly haven't spent a fortune because I haven't got it. What I've done is kept an eye on things that come along at the right money. You know, I went to my local supermarket and there were vegetable soups and they were 50p a tin, which is about half price. So I bought a tray. You know, I had £5 in my pocket and I went home with 24 tins of soup and just put them on the shelf because £5 isn't going to change my life. So over time, that's how we've ended up with 3 months' food in the house.
What does Cheryl, your wife, make of it?
She's beautiful, the love of my life, and she supports me. This is my own personal madness. And
why do you call it a madness?
It has turned into a little bit of an obsession, really. And it's really funny because the odd occasion we run out of normal shopping, in the house, and my wife will say, I need to buy some olive oil, we've run out, and I say, I'll go and get some, and I pop out and I get a bottle of olive oil and I bring it in and put it on the shelf.
You don't get a bit cross if your provisions are raided in good times because you might need them for bad?
Absolutely not at all.
So you've got your house in Luton with a garage with a trailer in it and all the stuff in it.
Yep.
You've got a place, haven't you, as well, in Monmouthshire, in Wales?
Yep.
And what is that stocked up in the same way as your home?
It's. I was fortunate enough to buy a little plot of woodland, 1.6 acres. I've got a 5-berth caravan on the plot, and there's a large sort of 30 feet square woodshed. And it is, in fact, just our caravan in the country. And I've stocked it up with 3 months' worth of provisions for us. So if there was rioting in the streets, if there was a breakdown in law and order, well, that's where we go.
You talked about it earlier as being a kind of madness. Does it become slightly unhealthy that it takes away from living life now, living for the present, because you are planning for a disastrous future?
Yeah, I am planning for a disastrous future. Disastrous is a fairly strong term. But
how would you describe it?
Well, I know from 17 years in the military and 20 years with the ambulance service that bad things happen to good people.
But does it stop you living for today?
No, I don't think so. There are people that are preppers that are into gas masks and planning for the apocalypse and Armageddon. I'm not one of them. I don't think there's anything I can do about the end of the world. If an asteroid comes out of space, then I think we're pretty much done. But that's not what prepping is about for me. I don't own any gas masks or chemical warfare suits or anything like that, because I don't perceive that to be the threat to me. The threat is that I'm sort of semi-retired, I have an occupational pension, so if my wife was to lose her job, we would be in trouble. So I've tried to put things in place so that if that happens to us, we function normally as a family. And if that's an obsession that every grown man as a family has, because it's your job to provide.
So it's putting something by when times are good for the times that are bad,
yeah, exactly.
that may be coming.
And in the present environment, I think we're all looking at bad times.
That's cheery.
Sorry.
Are we?
I think we are, yeah.
Is it just because I'm naive that I'm not thinking of bad times?
No, it's not that you're not thinking of bad times. I'm pretty sure that you've got life insurance.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you don't expect to die, do you?
Oh, hopefully not.
It's good sense to have life insurance just in case. Well, I think putting food on the shelf or putting provisions by is just good sense. I explained prepping to someone recently in regards to the weather. If I told you that tomorrow is going to be really cold and it's going to rain in the afternoon, and you go out without a coat and you don't take an umbrella, how can that be someone else's fault?
He's got a point. Michael Sanderson or Roach are all going out to buy some cans of food now.
Well, we've been wisely prepping and stockpiling for After the News. Lee Mack is still with us. We have the Inheritance tracks of Fiona Shaw and all sorts of other things coming up after the news this morning, read by Chris Aldridge.